Guys, Hex in the morning. Welcome. How is everybody doing? What a beautiful day. Me and Sam and Bullish have just been talking about all the wonderful stuff going on in crypto. Richard Hart just had a stream. Oh, damn, my Facebook stream didn't launch. That's all right. But Richard Hart just had a stream. I thought the guy that was asking the questions asked decent questions, which is decent questions as meaning like they weren't super invasive, but like it just explained. I don't know. I really can't wait to hear about Sam's take on that because I also, again, I was being a little bit reckless this morning, was listening to the whole time, heard some pulse burn rate stuff that I kind of didn't know initially. So I had a couple burn rate questions for Sam about pulse, and he might know, might not know. But I'm going to throw up one of these guys real quick. Hold on. I might have drank last night, but don't you forget about that cannon. Guys, good to see everybody. Hex in the morning. Dance a little bit to this baby.
Young folks, you tripping on them motherfucker.
Richard Hart. Richard Hart.
Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Point one every day we mark. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the Hex, he is mooning. Looking at why they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pulsechain's out, now get me a check. He's gas up and it got me a mess. Remember the times he died, collect. Hex, I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this pulsechain lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this pulsechain lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart.
I gotta be. There's that little spot in there between the song and the clip, but my face pops up for a second and it blows my OCD through the absolute wall. Sam Stolt, how are you doing today?
What's up? What's up? We just so you know, we can't see your face when it does pop up. It just goes straight through. It's probably just on your end because I'm watching it. I have it up here and I can't see your face when that does come through.
How is Sunday in the world of Sam Stolt this morning? Just give me a little update. Where's you at emotionally? Where are you at physically? And where are you at in general this morning?
So this morning I am doing fantastic. I got up and did some meditation this morning. Had my breakfast. Just finished listening to the live stream.
Dude.
The live stream, I have probably about 10 different points or probably 14 different points that I wrote down just as a note, thought it was interesting. And then I just spent 15 minutes out in the Florida sun, getting some sun on my skin, took my shirt off, get that vitamin D. It has a bunch of other benefits to it. So I'm ready. Like, it is a fantastic day. Like,
I want to do a session of you coaching me today, like a 15, 20 minute.
Cool.
I need coaching again. Well, I mean, everyone needs coaching, I guess. But like, I want structure again. I'm very structured in general, but I want more structure. I want more than I do already.
What area?
I'm getting stressed. I'm in my focus. I can't focus on the stuff that's important, not this stuff. I can focus on this stuff fine. I can't focus on other shit. Like my other computer, my security computer, like all that stuff. I have my notes written down, everything I'm supposed to do, and I've done most of it. Don't get me wrong, I'm in a good spot. But like, oh God, I can get ahead here, but I can't get ahead there because I don't care for some reason.
What does getting ahead mean to you? Like when you say
when
that,
I think about all the things I'm supposed to do in the next month that I want to do, like on my to-do list, technical stuff, like literally like do this with your computer, buy another computer, do this, that, and the other. And I get far behind because I get so doubled down on what I'm doing. I just fucking don't care. Like, it's not even like if someone gave me an Adderall in a couple hours where I couldn't do this, like I'd be like, oh my God, this is great. I can, but it's just like I can never get there because my discipline gets so fucked because my ADD is so bad. Or whatever, ADD or whatever the word is.
Yeah. Have you ever like what's been helpful for me is to like reduce the size of the expectation I have for myself, because the steps and the consistency of the steps is far more valuable than the magnitude or like the size of the steps. Like, so for example, like I've got, to-do list, right? Of many different things on this list. And previously I would look at this list and I would get maybe 3 or 4 things done on my list. And then I would be like, oh man, I didn't get that done. 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 I didn't get that done.
And it makes that anxious like spring in your body turn on. Like my anxious spring is like, oh, you got that one thing. It doesn't really matter if you do it, but you wrote it down. And like, it's like half the shit is like, I have an idea at the time that I want to do. And then that ends up not being as important as I maybe thought it was in that moment. When I was thinking of it, I was like, man, this is really important. And then I was like, at the end of the day, like, that's really not important. What you were like, maybe it was a marketing thing. And I was like, you really need to learn how to make these shorts right now. And then I look back and I'm like, maybe I can take a week before I get to the shorts, as long as I do it right. But overwhelmed, I'm like, you need to learn Facebook in and out like tonight. Like I give myself these fucking rules in my head, like be able to move around Facebook. And then I wake up and I'm like, I still don't know how to add a group to Facebook. I didn't fuck with that shit yet. And then it's just like, I wish everything would like just print out of a printer when I woke up. And I was like, okay, for the perfect day, I could do this, but there's lots of variables because nothing's really certain in my life in that.
What Alan says is how I like to approach it. But I do 1% increase my daily task. I do 1% more every day. Okay. So that idea, but like if 1% is too much, in terms of like where you're at mentally at that moment, like do a 100th of a percent. And that's all that matters. It doesn't, the 19 other things on my list that I did not get accomplished doesn't matter. I got 3 things. When you look at
a list, fitness, a lot.
When you look at the fitness stuff, right? Like you're in fitness and you're more than the average person in fitness. The people are like, oh, what do I need to do? Right. And like, everybody wants to sell a tactic or this bullshit or that bullshit. But in reality, the only thing people need to do is be consistent. Period. Like it's not like all this tactic or eat this or do that or do this or do that. It's like show the fuck up every day and just do this much. That's it.
You think if you had to guess my biggest weak points as far as like where I'm at emotionally, like obviously I do a lot of things right, guys. Like I'm pretty good at a lot of stuff, but like I do have Swiss cheese size holes in my game. Like don't get that twisted. I would probably say the same thing about himself. Anyone that reflects a lot has Swiss cheese size holes in their game because you can't not if you're focused because there's a lot of shit. But if you were to like reflect about your past, what you've noticed and like where I'm at, would you just say like just keep a little bit doing what you're doing, keep asking for guidance, keep moving forward, keep obviously not drinking, not adding substances to your table is always something you always preach. Like that's not going to help anything. It is only going to add weight. So what do you think as a totally transparent and honest dude? I'm a nutcase. I don't give a shit.
One of the things that seems to be similar from like how I was at a different point in my journey versus like how you are, or at least it comes across right now. And you're like at the point ahead of where I was at this certain age, right? So is the quietness of my mind today of those things that like were like, hey, I want to get all these things done and I'm not getting them done, or hey, I should be focusing on this and I'm doing this. Those I don't know if that ever ends because like I still do it to a little bit, but it's.
When you're by yourself, do you feel anxiety? No, not anxiety about like your life, but like, do you feel tension that you should be doing something?
Oh, every second of the day. Like if but it's
So
not like
standing there, nobody around. After 5 or 10 minutes, you would immediately be like, I must move. I must do something. I must go back to work. Whereas I feel like some people can just fall into the moment a little bit. And I've never been able to just fall. Like whenever I'm around, like last night, I went to hang out with some friends. I had a good time and all, but it was so forced. It was not the position I wanted my body to be in. I wanted my body to be in front of my computer.
So what like
for me, I almost have to force myself to giddy up and get a little with the lads. You don't even fucking bother.
No, if people want to like spend time like doing things, like I generally channel that through my girlfriend, because like otherwise I like, there's messages on my phone from probably family members that I just haven't responded to yet, because it's like I don't know, like it's it works for me, but it doesn't necessarily work for everybody. So like one of the things that could potentially be very valuable is if you try like a 90-day commitment to writing down in a very rigorous manner the emotions that you have. So I just went to Jordan Peterson.
Really smart.
It's been game changer for me. So like I just bought 2 more of these, just like they're 95 cents or something at Walmart, and just buy one of these college or whatever it is notebook things. And this is at the Jordan Peterson. So I went to Jordan Peterson in North Carolina 2 or 3 weeks ago. My buddy got it and he was like, yo, come on up here for this. And up there, one of the things that Jordan Peterson talks about being somebody asked a question in the Q&A, what's like the most invaluable thing that somebody in college could do right now? And I think it's not just college. I think it goes for almost any age, is being able to articulate one's thoughts to themselves, right? Because so many people are confused with themselves. And so going down literally how I've been doing this for years, and I don't have as much of the emotional stuff now because for me it's way more peaceful up here, but there's other things that I can focus on. So when there's a moment in your life where you're like, hey, I have these security things that I told myself I was going to do that I didn't get done. Cool. That's the first step, is recognizing that. Now, Jordan Peterson, and that's how, like, my buddy that invited me to the show, literally I've been telling my buddy to do this for 3 years and he hasn't done it. And at the Jordan Peterson thing, I was like, bro, you fucking listen to me. Like, I've been telling you to do this for fucking 3 years. And then he did it that night with me. I was like, let's go home, because I was crashing out. Get your fucking piece of paper and write the shit down. So if you have those moments in your day where you butt heads, say with your mom or dad on some issue, or a girl or friends, or you just have this list of things to do and you're like, oh man, and you're like, I didn't do those things down, and you create an emotional state that you don't like, then every day, write those down. Look for those things, because that's what you're going to be writing down, and ask yourself why. Hey, I didn't like that I didn't get all this stuff done today. Well, what did I get done? Well, I got this done and this done and this done. Do I want to respond in this manner in the future when tomorrow I make a list and I only knock out 2 things on my list? No, I don't, because I prefer to have these type of emotional response instead of these ones. Well, how do I go about doing that? Well, I focus on the things that I did get done instead of the things I didn't get done, and just explore that as much as you possibly can in wherever you are, because you'll be able to expand that over time, and it's so incredibly helpful. So incredibly helpful. Like, try it for 90 days and it will change.
Where do you feel the most anxiety? Like, what scenarios in life that you kind of have to go into on occasion? Everyone has to go into certain scenarios. That, like, some people, you gotta go to the dentist at some point and shit. Like, people get stressed out about that. But where is it when you're? Because I have trouble when anyone tells me to do anything. If someone tells me to do anything, I literally will not do it, because I just want to ask. I want to ask. I want to do stuff because I'm asking, and because I'm curious, and I'm going to someone who has merit and who has my respect for whatever reason. And when other people tell me something, there's like an assuming of power, and you've really broke through this for me a little bit. Like you've helped. I'm almost addicted to talking to you at this point, because you break through that. You know, people try to intellectually push you down in conversation, but not really with any real merit. They just want to do it like through force. Like you're new to the situation, so just sit down there, little buddy. But you're like, no, I'm reading from a piece of paper right now. A plus E equals what? You said you're the expert. Tell me now. And if they can't tell you, there's no hard feelings. It's just like you've just taught the room what's really going on. You've just showed everyone that assuming of power. And Richard Hart, everyone that's in a powerful position probably gets caught up in this on occasion. You start saying things without maybe double checking.
We literally saw this happen today, and I didn't write this on the list because I was like, thought it was pretty trivial, but at the same time, it was important enough to notice. The emotional state that Richard was in changed 2 or 3 times towards the first half of what he was talking about, and
Give us your thoughts on this piece.
So when I don't remember, Alex, I think was the guy's name, was talking about something relating to Hex, you could see that Richard Hart, in his response, his emotional state changed from a conversation to an attack, which is completely not how you handle dialogue and conversations. And Alex was like fucking great. Alex was chill the whole entire time, and
he was very chill. I would assume.
And then that's not, in my opinion, that's a weakness. I'm not.
The chillness is a weakness, or the over bravado.
The change
like he's almost defensive. Like I would be.
Correct.
Picking on me.
100%. Do you think an emotional response or a thoughtful response is better?
I
children think with emotions. Adults use their fucking head.
But there's also that whole like, social media part of it too. Like I know that it's probably all automatic for him, like the way he feels, and it's just like automatic. But at the same time, is there a reason for him to really give a fuck what he's saying on there at some point? Like, does it even matter? Like, as long as he's being honest to a degree, like, is he just going on there for his own entertainment, or does he really care? Like, that's kind of that. Like, I always wonder. But I'm just wondering.
So you're like, okay, well, it really doesn't matter, right? Say shit, right, kind of thing, right?
That's how I always get like in that limbo.
So when you, if you take what Richard's saying at face value, that he wants to like help the world, right? And you want to promote like behavior that is helpful to people's own well-beings, right? Well, in my opinion, when you see somebody respond in an emotional fashion to something that is trivial, that's a weakness. That's not something that you want to promote. That's what happens on the left, right? That's what happens in fucking woke leftness. Like they respond out of emotions instead of using their brain and their head. And you see this happening, yes, little moments here and there, but it's just like enough for me to notice it.
People say shit to me about stuff that I know about. I want to break their neck for some reason sometimes. Because I'm so sick of people saying shit. There was these guys at my gym talking about how Ethereum and they were just talking to the side. They weren't talking to me. And I fucking interjected, that right away. But like they were said Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they were talking to people that had no idea what they were doing. And they said Bitcoin and Ethereum are the only cryptos that'll ever succeed. And I was sitting over there listening, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's like hundreds of cryptos that have blown through the top and changed everyone's lives. So I went right over there and I said, he said, I'm a financial advisor. And I said, well, you, sir, know fucking zero about what you're talking about. And you should stop fucking opening your mouth about. And I got this upset. And I was a problem. It's a problem for me too. Like I do this. Like I get upset at people.
But the easiest way to see this is in relationships. Intimate relationships. You see this in intimate relationships where people respond in an emotional manner. And what happens with emotions? Because emotions are something that we're just creating out of thin air, right? So you create these emotions that then that path leads you to saying dumbass shit that causes a detriment to the relationship and building of trust with that person you're in there. And it's just not a good
What is your take on Richard? And let me ask you a question more so you can narrow this. What is your take on Richard in the way that he's, from an outside perspective, it's totally fine, guys. And Richard is an adult. We're all adults. We're just talking. And he's probably 10 times more successful than we'll ever be. So it doesn't fucking matter anyway. But as far as what you've seen, what do you think, Richard, about the way he portrays himself about? Obviously, he has dreams of being more of an overarching figure in this world. as far as his financial system. I do believe that he is one of the smartest men that has been in the crypto space. One of the most, one of the people who was a little more interested in exposing the truth than to promote a product. Back then, got to remember, he was just a Bitcoin maxi. Like, he was just somebody who supported Bitcoin. It wasn't like it was his project. It wasn't his project. And now he's moved into this realm where it's like he's come out with this new crypto. As far as his bravado and the way he goes about things, do you think this is just a normal way for him to get more popular as far as all the stuff he's stressing? But my major concern, and I think yours is too, is his – I wouldn't want to debate Richard one-on-one because I have a feeling he would ruin my career for fun. You know what I mean? Like, he would make it out of his way because he is such an elegant speaker that he could make someone who's a little more nervous just buckle. And I feel
and do you
that's scary.
So question for you, right? If you, right, GRC is trying to help people, right? And you come on to say, quote, debate me, right? Then, and if I like go through and try to make you feel stupid or intimidate you, do you think that's a good tactic to teach people? I don't.
Hiding what he used to try to do, because if you read his book and you read some of that stuff, he tried. It seems like he gave it a fucking home run shot at teaching people the right way to do things, and no one listened. No one listened because he wasn't popular.
Who was that philosopher, like Aristotle or something like that? And who Aristotle, right, was able to, if you're having a dialogue about something and there's opposing views, if in my opinion, when somebody's really, really good, you can take the other person's logic and realize that using their logic, you just follow them along and confirm, hey, so what you're saying is this, right? And then you just, okay, so if what you're saying is accurate, and we just confirmed it was accurate by you saying this is what you said, and then you go on to the next step, another next step, the next step, it's easy to lead somebody in a path that realizes that they're fucking an idiot. Like, it's not that, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? I'm in a debate, maybe they don't have the time for that.
At the scale that Richard's at, and he alluded this on he almost brings this up a lot. He brings this conversation up a lot. It could just be more so because it's a part of his life or whatever, but he brings the topic up that he's tried to tell people specifically what not to do, and it does not work. He said, I told everyone exactly how not to get scammed. Nobody listens. But when he comes out and he's brash and he's just himself, more people stick to him anyway. Listen to me, Sam, real quick. More people stick to him anyway. So let's say if I'm a magnet, whether people stick to me because it's the right information or because I'm really popular, it doesn't really matter because he is, at the end of the day, he's given accurate information about Bitcoin and Ethereum thus far. So, I mean, is it fair to say that he has proven to have given accurate information about Bitcoin and Ethereum thus far?
So two things. So in terms of the popularity, we'll talk about in a second, but in terms of like, so right before we got on, I was talking to you and Bullish, or maybe it was when we got started, I don't remember, but I don't consume a lot of content. So I would say, don't listen to what I say, listen to what I'm actually doing, right? And the only person that I'm consuming their like individual content, like I'm not watching the people on YouTube, I'm not listening to that kind of thing. I read books.
You can't either because you literally work a lot. Same here. I can't watch shit anymore. I can no longer do it, Sam. I literally, if I have a moment, I want to read a specific thing that I was thinking about for the show tomorrow, or message somebody about going on the show tomorrow so I can have a resource. So, you know, I really cannot, and Crypto Coffee actually mentioned this to me. He's like, any YouTube content creator, good, bad, lazy, not lazy, middle ground, your content creating, whether you're doing it 100 a day or 2 clips a day that are very detailed or whatever, like you have to be on, the internet never stops.
But one of the things that I am paying attention to is what Richard's talking about. So that gives you an idea of where I'm paying my attention to and the level of trust that I give to something that I don't give a lot of time to, right? Because I listen to maybe like this one podcast every once in a while, for like a short period of time. I read a bunch of books. Like I read the white paper for Uniswap V2, like what was last night, Friday night or Saturday night or something, like on a Friday or Saturday night, because I found it interesting to go through and read the paper. So to say that I'm giving my attention to listen to what Richard has to say, for me, don't listen to what I have to say, listen to what I'm like doing, is more powerful. And then you had said in regards to what he is saying and that approach,
like it's
and
almost
in terms of popularity,
being himself and not even going into this stuff because he has all the resources too. So if someone really has a question, if you have any real question, go into a Hex chat. There's a website for it. You might have to dig a little bit, obviously, do your own research and stuff. But there, as you've noticed, there's lots of Hex stat sites.
Yeah,
you had to have, you had to have been impressed with the
correct
statistics sites of Hex. Let me say this real quick. Hex has the greatest stats of any other cryptocurrency ever. And trust me, someone can maybe correct me on that, but my God, have I never seen this stat site after growth site, after algorithm site, after everything you could ever imagine, even future price predictions for just the buy and burn rate on a freaking chart. Like, people do everything. And I actually had a question about this clip that I posted to I actually posted it to my YouTube shorts because I didn't want to forget it. And
so
he mentioned the
go
burn.
ahead.
He mentioned
you can pull that up in a minute. But in regards to the people of the traction, like gaining popularity and stuff like that. So right, if I'm going through and I'm seeing an emotional state change in somebody else, and I'm able to notice that in them, right? It's because it's something within myself, right? So there's a lot of insecure, broken people out there, and if they're connecting with that piece of it, then it's going to attract those type of people to, in my opinion, gain a wider audience and grow beyond crypto. There obviously evolution needs to happen and growth needs to happen on that front and other fronts to get more and more attention through that. You know what I mean? But like, who am I to fucking judge or say what anybody else is doing? You know, you're muted. You're muted.
We can also assume that maybe he's so hyper-focused on a few concepts within his own life that he really doesn't have the emotional energy to care about anything that he's doing otherwise. Too much. Maybe. That's just another potential. Like, he could be like, we really don't. It is not fair for any of us to say we understand what it's like to host a software crew and come out with a brand new cryptocurrency. Like, nobody, it could be easier than we think as well. There's two sides to that coin, guys, because I've done things in my life where I assumed that is going to be the most complicated dissecting concept. And I'm like, all I had to do was open 2 websites and send an email. Like, it's like, because sometimes the platforms make it really easy, but nonetheless, I'm going to go ahead and say, without a doubt, this shit's pretty freaking confusing, because I can tell by the way they do the test nets, 1, 2, 2.5. Like, they need to make sure they don't, if you let something go and something small happens, that's not small in finance.
Correct. No, I think I mean, like, I've talked to you about this like several times. I think creating a cryptocurrency would be fun. Like, that may be a project I might want to take on.
The more you talk, the more I would buy yours.
Like, because I'm good. You know what I mean? But like, I want to like create something that would be awesome, that would be extremely helpful. And if that is the
With
kind
Tesla.
of like,
what if you made a Tesla cryptocurrency or something?
something
that connected the software to a financial system or whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't understand like the end side of all that, but like, I'm sure Elon's learning, has a team doing all this shit right now, at least learning, right? Like, come on, they don't miss anything if they have the resources to. There's nothing bigger than crypto right now. He probably knows. They all probably know that they should be focusing on this, and they probably are.
yes,
If I know
yes.
anything about, because isn't Elon Musk somehow the ambassador for Dogecoin now? Like, how did that occur? And you know, the guy who made Dogecoin has none of it. Did you know?
I haven't really looked into it.
So the guy who made Dogecoin has none of it, and it had no value when he made it, and it was a joke. And then somehow, like, it caught on, and like he gave it all to people.
So here's a thought experiment, and this is from Elon before. So for context, I was paying attention to Tesla for 10 plus years, and then GRC and I reconnected 2 months ago, right, roughly, and he was like, yo, Hex, right? And I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And I had already mentally made the decision that I was shifting my attention from paying attention to Tesla to paying attention to crypto. And I had already.
It's been fun to watch. It's been fun that I had an influence in someone's life, even if it was just to get them moving in a direction. It's like nice to know, like, man, this could be good for both of us. And like, I really believed in it, right? Like, for whatever reason, I believed in it. Like, I believed in it enough to call Sam and be like, I think this might be big. I never told Sam this was it. I never told Sam he was going to be broke if he didn't buy this shit. I never told Sam, go buy it right now. I said, please start learning.
And I had actually reached out because I was like, I thought HNT and Hex were the same thing. I was like, literally, that's how ignorant I was on the topic. When I was like, yo, I see that you have Hex. And I thought that was HNT, which is another protocol that I find interesting, right? And I forgot what the point of like that was, but it was interesting to get enough to get started on it, even if I didn't remember where we were going.
You have to go to the gym and clock in with your thing, like whatever tag that we come up with, and then you mint coins because of every workout you do.
So there's something out there that does that already. It's for walking.
I like that. I think walking, the older that I get, every day that goes by, I walk more now than ever. I mean, it's also
so what if it was like a protocol where it was like the pedometer steps where you could do
heart rate? What if it was heart rate?
Heart rate and that. It was like both of those together. Or
then you could make sure people were actually getting cardiovascular strain, which would definitely reduce their risk of cardiovascular disease. 100%.
I agree.
You could technically reduce cardiovascular disease while making people money somehow.
And if you could like tie it into like blood sugar levels, like have a blood sugar monitor,
you
like
get
Apple Watch.
10,000 coins if you get a calcium score on your left ventricular artery. What did Mr. Dr. Connor always used to say? Coronary artery calcium score. The widow
or whatever it is, yeah. Did you know, I just found this out recently, that there is actually something, because right in bodybuilding, like drug type use. By the way, from my German Instinct Solar knows when I'm working out, Stolt. It measures heart rate and knows how many calories I'm burning and knows how hard I'm trying. So what if I killed Epstein? There's two interesting things here. First of all, I feel like there's a lot more women watching today than there was 2 weeks ago.
I didn't advertise today. Awesome. I didn't advertise at all today. I just let it go. You know, it's Sunday. I had a long night, and Bullish was like, dude, just go drink a little bit, do whatever. So I was like, you know what? A lot of my friends were visiting, so it's kind of like if you were going to do it, it was the time to do it. And I ended up everyone called me GRC. I never once got called my name, and none of these people have crypto. None of them have crypto, Sam. They all call me. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there is more to this than just the crypto. Like, and maybe for me, and maybe for you, everyone's got their own shtick. But like, I want to send a message of like, this is about me. Like, this is about my life, and I want to show you, like, not you, but authentically, everyone. I want you guys to buy in that I'm being honest. Like, I do.
The best way, in my opinion, to do that is you focus on yourself to be better, so that people can see you on your journey over the next.
And I fucking am. You could goddamn better believe I'm cleaning more than I ever have. My spaces. That's one thing that my fingernails have grown back 100%. I never had fingernails for 10 years. 10 years, I never had fingernails because I was eating them so bad. Because I was always driving, dude. I'm telling you, I was stressed the fuck out. A lot because of my own habits and shit that I created. Of course, I could have lived better. But like, I was driving all day. I had horrible habits. My fingernails grew back. I started growing hair more. Like, literally, like, these are all things that started happening when I quit my job. Not because of the job, but just because like I knew the space was not conducive for my life anymore, or something like that.
Okay, if somebody's doing something in their life and they know intrinsically, like they know within inside themselves that it's not the right thing for themselves that they want for their life in the direction they want, like, how do you think that feels?
It hurts every day.
But what's worse, when you fucking lie to yourself every single day for 6 years and you do the same goddamn thing, and that's what so many fuckers are doing. They're like, okay, well, I need to do this because the family and the kids. Grow the fuck up, change shit.
Literally everyone's gonna die, and you're gonna be sitting there one day like, wow, I really should have done what I wanted to do. I really should have done what I wanted to do. And I wish my son had watched me do something that I wanted to do. I watched my dad do something that he wanted to do, and it motivated me to do whatever I wanted to do. And same with my family. Like, they all do whatever they want to do. But, you know, it only takes one person. My dad's family didn't teach him how to do that shit. It only takes one person to just say, you know what, my life sucks, whatever the circumstance sucks. I am going to change for my own pride today. And then everyone will follow suit. And the best part about doing things for your own is you can leave everyone behind who slows you down. When you lie to yourself and say that all of that stuff matters, like, it matters so much. There's so much pull in my life from my sisters, my brothers, my friends, this family, the bars down the street. It's like you have no energy anyway. So just eliminate everything, and then you have more room to grow than everyone as well.
I think about that, like what you were just saying, like everybody in your life at this moment. If you think of like a snapshot of like where you are, both physically, mentally, your relationships, financially, your physical health, and then I'm like with my girlfriend, because I've talked about this with her several times, right? Like if the relationship, if she wants to continue to build and grow in the relationship, like the only thing that I focus on every day is just trying to be a little bit better. That's it. Like, I don't need to go do dumb shit. Like, I don't care about that shit.
Because
all I want to do.
What is it going to do? You just know it's not going to do anything.
Exactly. And then what happens is, so you have this snapshot of your life where you currently are in all those assets or facets of your life. And then if you and I are on a hike and you stand still, what happens if I continue on the hike?
You go.
I'm at a different fucking spot than you are, and we grow apart over time. So people are like, oh, I can't get rid of my friends. I can't get rid of that. Don't worry about getting rid of your friends. Focus on your own fucking growth, and naturally your path is going to separate because you continue on the journey and they stay there. So if you're hiking with somebody and the person's like, cool, this is an awesome spot, I'm just going to chill here for the next 10 fucking years, fantastic. But you're continuing on your journey. So in 2 days, you're only going to be this far away. In 7 days, in 6 months, in 6 years, they won't even be able to see you anymore because they're sticking to that spot in their journey. Perfectly fine. If they're happy, great for them. That's just not how I want to be. So if you're like, hey, I want this guy saying some cool shit, then continue to level up, and then that person will continue to connect with you, right? In that way, because they're just constantly trying to get better.
You level up too, so you just got to let them go. You just got to let them go. It has nothing to do with them. It was the same way I feel when I was 22 and there was people flying by me doing shit that I could not do yet or didn't have the emotional awareness to do yet. I felt bitter. I felt angry. And my liberal rising in this world and what I noticed from around me would tell me to bitch and complain about it. But I learned very quickly, very, very – if you're a man and you have to do – if you're a man, you'll figure out really quickly. I don't know. I can't speak for women, to be honest, because their interaction with the world is different. But they will leave you to die in the streets. No, there's no one coming to get you. I mean, yes, maybe your brother will for a time, or maybe one time your mom will come. But if you're fucking up as a man, no one's coming. No one. And I refuse to fuck up. There's no reason for me to have to fuck up anymore. Obviously I have. Maybe that's right. Maybe some people get their fuck ups out of the way at different times. I was front.
And you're going to continue to do things that you may call fuck ups or not fuck ups. All that is just different ways.
But there'll be nothing dangerous. There's dangerous stuff like that.
Okay, so one of the things that I'm doing with my buddy, and he's younger than both of us, but he's a super intelligent, smart guy, ambitious.
Where do you know him from?
South Carolina. He's like 24. He's making like 400 grand-ish, probably 500 grand a year. Like he's super talented, very smart.
Figure it all.
What's that?
Is he online figure it all?
No, but yes, from an economic standpoint. No, from like his nobody knows who his name is and stuff like that.
And he wants to keep it that way.
Currently, yeah. But he's a really good dude. So anyway, we're talking on Fridays, and I'm like, okay, so what is your goal we just talked the other day, right? So it's like, what is your goal that you want to accomplish? It's going to create the most impact for you, not something pie in the sky, but like, what is the thing that like, you're like, okay, this can help me move the needle forwards, right? So if you decide to go through and do that, if anybody in the comments decides to go through and do that, like what is the thing that you could don't make it super high, just make it something that you can
Take it
do
to the next level.
Yes, and remember, it could be this big. It doesn't have to be gigantic. Just tiny little stuff.
Going on a new diet that I'm sticking to 100%.
Perfect.
For a time, whatever period of time I decide, like 90 days, 180 days, and I might roll with it past that. But for me, it's nice to have like a date in mind. But like, so for me specifically, Sam was telling me about this diet. I'm just going to try it, right? Like I don't know if it's a good diet for me or not, but it's basically meat and protein sources and fruit. So for the most part, I'm going to be eating starting tomorrow, fruits, and I'm going to go to the store today, fruits and meats. And I think that will cut down on some of the costs anyway that I was paying for carbohydrates. And I get to eat fruits and meats all day, which is amazing. I mean, fruits and meats, like if I think of like the two best things, it goes to fruits and meats. So when Sam told me that he was trying a diet that only incorporated fruits and meat, I was like, that feels like it would be gentle on my stomach for some reason, because my stomach takes protein very well, but does not take some things well. What about your stomach as you get older? What do you notice? If you ate like a bag of chips or something, like right now you just smoked a bag of chips, a big one, nothing like crazy, maybe 400 calories, 500 calories. Would you feel that?
So my girlfriend made nachos with tortilla chips like several days ago. So that's like the only thing that I would have it with, right, for an example. And then like TMI, but the next day I'm like have diarrhea. Like it impacts me immediately. Yeah. And that night I was bloated. Like my stomach is bloated that evening.
Do you think that your body, so 90% of people eat inflammatory foods all day long? Is that fair to say?
Oh, 100%.
90%, I think that's fair. At least in this country. Let's say in this country. So do you think that your body just kind of like adjusts to shit food to the point where you just are okay with it? But like for someone like me and someone like you who probably doesn't, like, I don't go off tangents eating junk food too often. Like, so my stomach kind of figured the same things out. I got the same things going on in here. They're pretty much eating the same day. When I take anything different, and I always just said it was my age. I was like, maybe I'm just getting older. But I swear to God, I was chilling last night. I had one of these, it wasn't like a Nerds thing, but it was some sort of gummy like strip, but it had like sour stuff on it. Basically like a sour fucking worm.
Let me ask you a question. For anybody in the comments that works out, and Finn Bear, let me know how the sound is. I tried to lower it a little bit because he said my sound was loud. Okay, so let me ask you a question. GRC, if you have your back, have you ever had like a small injury or tweak when you were working out, even if it's just trivial, like you rolled your ankle or your shoulder?
Constant.
What was it?
The one that happens to me most often is my lower back. Like
okay, perfect. So when you've hurt your lower back or tweaked it, right? Does it make it more challenging to lift any other body part? It doesn't, independent of back.
100%.
Okay, so now think about what you just said. When you have an issue with your body, it affects all other areas of working out. Mm-hmm. Do you think that the same thing holds true to your diet? People eat inflammatory diets and don't realize that they're fucking their shit up. There's something called I think it's like the theory of disease or disease theory, which is all based on inflammation. If you look at even cancers, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, even other things that are less like high name recognition stuff, it comes from inflammation of some sort. Inflammation is an extremely, extremely, extremely powerful tool that is in place to help us, but it can also hurt us. Just like if I have a hammer, I could build this table, while at the same time, I could take this hammer and kill somebody. The tool, inflammation, is super powerful to use in an intelligent way, just like a hammer is to build a table or to hurt something. The same thing happens with inflammation. When people take a diet and lifestyle, right, because diet's inflammatory promoting, and then their lifestyle is inflammatory promoting, right? So you have these both are promoting inflammation, and then you wonder why there's so high degree of diseases and issues and that kind of thing. Just like what you were saying, how when your back is fucked up, it makes all the other workouts you do more challenging because your back is fucked up. Now, one of the things that I'm working towards is just working towards eating a lower inflammation diet in general, because that'll help me. There's thinking more clearly, sleeping better, not thinking about like an issue with my stomach, right? All of these little pieces add up over time and just make it easier overall to just move forward and make progress in one's life. I can cut down on trees.
I can cut down trees with my lower back, super strong. That sounds somewhat like you're dropping it low. I don't know is that a dropping it low. I have recommitted to working on my glutes at the gym specifically. Actually, that's another thing that I've done that I didn't even notice I was doing. I have decided to do glutes every day when I was at the gym because I love doing glutes and my ass is small and it's just like a part of my body that I always have to work out on extra. But I stopped, when you stop getting less detail, I was still doing legs, but I was just doing legs like just to maintain the weights that I could lift for the same amount of reps. Pretty much I was just trying to maintain those lifts so that, because the way that I am with the gym, and tell me if you know anyone who's a little more like this, it's like I maintain as long as I can until the moment that my lifts start going down. And then like the summer comes and I just bore. Like I want to go crazy, but like I have no incentive for some reason because it's cold here. It's freezing fucking cold for months. Like, it's hard to
get out of there.
Oh no, I'm getting
maybe at the end of the year or something.
Get the hell out of here and going to Clearwater or
yes.
outside of Tampa, St. Petersburg. That's like the hub right now for entrepreneurs and people that want to move for cheap and have freedom at the same time.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so what related to your fitness stuff, right? Because we had talked about it last night briefly. Like, what would be the ideal outcome, and then also you said you're training glutes a lot more, so that to me would imply that potentially that is an area that you feel is weak, right? You said your glutes are small, right? So is that the story that you're telling yourself about your physique, that your glutes relative to the rest of the
no, just proportional wise, it really, and I'm not insecure about it at all.
Correct.
I could give a fuck anymore.
100%.
Maybe I was, but like literally it's just like I look in the mirror and I'm like, well, I'd be more proportional if I was in a photo shoot. Because I do plan on doing photo shoots. I plan on doing photo shoots moving forward. Anyone can say whatever they want, but if you're going to be in a photo shoot, you're going to make your body look as photo shoot ready as possible. So I've always had that in the back of my head. Like this summer is going to be the first summer where I'm like last summer I looked photo shoot ready, but I wasn't photo shoot ready. I didn't know anything about that shit. But now I want to be able to do like, even if it's like Hex merch shit, like I want to be able to help people out and like do, even if it's free, I want to try it. I want to see what it's like. And I have a very aesthetically pleasing body in the front. Like I just genetically, like nothing to do with
just no glutes is what you're saying because you said the front.
Well, no, the front.
I'm just messing with you.
But like my glutes are it's just like my ass isn't that big, but my legs are kind of big, if you know what I mean. Like I can squat a lot, but like I just don't have much of an ass. Anyway. Enough for my ass, but like I just want to be photo shoot ready. I want to give that part of my life a try because everyone for so long told me all that stuff was egotistical and stuff, and I kind of believed it. And now I don't care as much about egotistical stuff anymore. So it's kind of like rather just be resourceful with what I have, and I'm an online marketer already. It's like why don't I can also market myself, and then it's just another part of my journey that I want to move forward on. People have told me that I could do stuff like that, and I've always thought, why not? But I'm not ready right now. I'm like 10% away, probably. I'm
curious. You should do take pictures later today and of where you are, and then we can do the updates on the show every week, every Sunday for 10 minutes. We can do
just to be transparent. Here, I'll take my shirt off right now.
And then we'll get into the 14 different points that I took from the talk today.
I have not been practicing any of this stuff, but I am a bodybuilder, so I do work out fucking a lot. Like, hold on.
I'm going to look at some of these comments where you're posing.
So this is Sam.
And you want to drop a little bit of belly fat and get a little bit bigger?
Well, no. If I'm dieting, see, like, I'm not that ripped right now. Just normal, like, I'm a little poppy. Ooh, look at that little line right there. That looks nice. But yeah, guys, full transparency. I'm Jim Rat Crypto. I can take my shirt off whenever I want, and I can show people my bod whenever I want. Because I used to think that was the weirdest thing to do ever. I thought everyone told me for the longest time showing off your body in any way was wrong. Morally. Not like, obviously you got chicks and stuff, but like there was like some moral part of me that was like, if you're egotistical about your body, you are mean or rude or something. Do you understand that at all? What I'm saying?
Mhm.
So once I broke that mold, Sam got me through that. That was a hump for me. The whole like bodybuilding, telling someone I'd taken steroids before, the whole.
Well, people judge you. Like I'm in the gym taking pictures of myself, and people are judging me.
Still, but the freedom you get when you no longer, there's not another man that could walk into my house and say one thing that would make me feel uncomfortable as far as like embarrassed. What are you going to say, buddy? I just took my shirt off and showed everyone my shit.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to say, dude? Like, I tell everyone I was a drug addict. I failed at everything I've tried. Like, but you just come back stronger every time. That's the whole point.
Correct, 100%. That's all. What it's always about is just trying to get a little bit better. Did you find any little like nuggets that you found interesting going through Richard Hart's stream this morning that you were like, huh, that was interesting, or new tidbits of information? Because a lot of it's regurgitation, right? But was there something that stood out to you?
Hold on one second.
I pulled up a bunch of different things.
I was about to say, ooh, I accepted being. No. Yeah, no. So another thing I like to bring to the table, and I'm going to bring up right now, just this quick 10 minutes. Tell me if it means anything to you. That's all I really want to know.
This is the clip you were talking about?
Yeah, just tell me if you feel if it like if it's exactly
whatever. By the way, everybody in the comments, I just bought another Facebook group at 10 o'clock last night, 10 p.m. last night. I texted you this. Did I? Somebody actually reached out to me. They were watching this stream. So if anybody's, I bought a Facebook group. I have.
Tell me how it works. Like, what is I didn't even know that was a thing.
Hey,
like, I didn't know they were up for sale. Like, is it like, oh, I have a Facebook group. You want to be the admin? Give me a little money. We'll just switch admins.
Yes, basically.
Okay.
And then they leave. It's like your Captain America thing is not for sale, but I will be like, yo, hey, how much you want for your Captain America thing? I think it's dope. Right. And you'd be like, it's not for sale. I'll be like, well, what if I give you $200? And you'd be like, okay, how about $225? Right. So like that's all it is. Is like people will they either want to get rid of it because they want money.
If you don't mind me asking, I would love to join.
Related to the fitness stuff.
Oh, cool.
And so they're getting about 40 members per week, right? So you don't just want to look at a group that's dead, that's trash, that's awesome, spam.
Dude, I'm telling you, between you and me, and I promise you, I am digging into these Facebooks. I have looked up every hashtag I could think of and looked up every result to see where my shit would be. I'm very good with the hashtagging. I haven't implemented it yet, but I can totally see it now. It's starting to I can see the whole network in my mind now, where before it was just like, why am I typing these things? But now almost I'm like, I'm on TikTok looking up all the numbers are different. Hex has this many on this many hashtags on this. It's so incredibly interesting to see how this information moves to and fro.
So so these are some of the notes.
All right, well, let's just chop off the first one. Sack balance issues. Okay, so
the issues with the node. He said it was. I just as in this is the size of the issue is relatively small. I don't know what that means. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Whoops, I don't know what node. From my understanding, with competitions with Wendy's, it's kind of like a goodwill thing for people who have large bags that want to support the network. I don't know a lot about it.
There are people that will run nodes because they have to at some point, right? Like, I think you can add nodes to the system to make the system have more support, it seems like, but it seems like there has to be a baseline number of nodes. That's what I would think. I have no idea, but I would think when you create something, you would have to make it run, right? So you would be in charge of the nodes, right? And then other people who are rich because of you maybe will start taking over some of the nodes. or something.
Yeah, I do want to talk to somebody. I do want to talk to somebody who like runs a node or several nodes on different networks or several.
Why don't we start shooting out some links, Sam? Because that's what we do on this show. We don't wait too long to get to the bottom of what. Let's see, the first question we both don't know. We're like, well, let's just call someone.
yes.
Why say we know what we're talking about? Sam's like, I'm just not clear on a few points here. Clearly, you're still stuck. And I'm like, no, don't get that. I want to run it. But I have,
but that's
the goal in my book, in my serious goal list, like the one that for the whole year, figure out how to run a node. And if you have the financial means to do so, do it. Yes. Because I just want to do it. I want to have a video on how to do it.
Yeah, do it up, bro. Like let's get a couple people on who do it so that we can see it.
Bullish is the one who's going to teach me, hopefully.
Yeah, because learning how to do it would be a valuable thing because people who support what's going on would probably be like, oh, I want to make this stronger because it's going to support what they're doing in some fashion, even though I don't fully understand how it does that. Supposedly it makes it stronger because it's just capturing another data set or what's going on. But, it's supposed to be helpful. So the next issue that he had mentioned is the SAC balances. And this seems to be the greater issue. He said that there's
Bullish said they have a testnet node running right now off of my Raspberry Pi 4. You are an absolute savage, Bullish. You haven't even gotten to the Raspberry Pi. We
gotta actually have Bullish on to talk about that kind of stuff.
I think
like the technical
Bullish,
stuff.
you can obviously come on if you want, but if he defers, I'm sure there's a few guys that he would probably defer to as well. I know there's guys in the community that are like, that's all they talk about.
Did you catch that the SAC balances he said at one point he has 10 devs, and he said that there's one dev on the node issue and everybody else, which would imply that the other 9 are on this issue or something else, right? Maybe there's 3 or 4 other tiny little trivial things, but the most of the work is being put into this issue. So this issue is probably a lot bigger than we realize. Not that it's going to delay anything by any stretch of the imagination, but it was kind of interesting to see how the resources were being split. As in the node issue, that's pretty trivial. And I didn't even understand what the node issue was. Closer to the money. So what does that mean? I think the examples that he was talking about were kind of interesting in that. And I literally was talking to my buddy who was trying to figure out how to make more money, but like at the same time doing something that's like sitting in an office or like, doing something that doesn't require you to do a lot of work in a challenging sense, right? Because you can do a lot of work that's not necessarily super economically valuable in terms of like your paycheck, right? So getting closer to the flow of money, it's inevitable that it comes to you, right? If you are like, hey, Sam, I'm cold as fuck. It's cold out right now, and there's a bonfire 35 feet away. I'll be like, hey, bro, you know how you can get warmer? Go closer to the fire. It's the same idea with flows of money. You get closer to the money, it's inevitable that you get some of that money. Not that you're doing something nefarious, not that you're doing anything manipulative. And we do know people who do that. You can still do the right thing and you get tremendous amounts of value from that because you're just closer to the flow of money. So in business, that might be like, they were talking about the different layers, say like, if they use different example, but in my mind, I used in a different video, say like, who's closer to the money, Verizon or like Apple? Apple's closer to the bigger user base, so they're going to collect more of that money, right? They provide the service. Verizon provides the service that Apple dwells on top of. Or maybe a better example would be like Facebook or something, right? But they're closer to the money, or in more of a literal sense that maybe people could take away something practical would be like, if you don't like what you're doing and you don't feel like you're getting compensated enough, like let go of the ego related stories you're telling yourself and just get into sales. Like you can, it's tremendously lucrative, and then you can take that money and just dump it all into crypto, and then you're done in, depending on how aggressive you are, you're done in 24 months or 48 months, and you're like, okay, cool, I've got enough money to live off for the rest of my life, in an efficient manner. You had mentioned something about this too, right? Pulsex, and didn't you say something about the pulsex issues? You heard something about pulsex?
No, I was just following along as far as the pulse chain. I was more curious about the stuff he was saying about the pulse chain burn rate. I just kind of want to talk more about the pulse chain burn rate as far as like the stuff that he was saying. Hold on, I'll pull up the video again. My ADD full blast.
No, you're good.
I'm pulling it.
Soul asks a question here that I don't know, and maybe somebody else in the questions in the comments knows. So let's highlight it. He or she goes on to say, does your node need a public opinion address? Or I don't know.
We'll
I love
address
the
that in a
idea of
second.
locking
I'll ask
value
somebody.
into cal. So pulse chain burns 25%.
I don't know if
of all
was this the only to the
transactions
20-second
with no
clip.
inflation, only deflation.
It's we can hear him talking.
22% of the fees with no inflation, only deflation.
How do you like his get up?
I love the idea of locking value into cal. So pulse chain burns 25%
Perfect timing, bro. That's the next
with no inflation, only deflation. And pulse X burns 22% of the fees.
I can never hear the clips when I'm, you know.
We can hear it. So and that's literally if you
Was that a good clip for the? I like that.
It is. I actually wrote a note down. If you switch back to the notes here, I actually wrote down a note on that to talk about that because I found that interesting.
That's what I thought. I was listening and trying to jumpstart my rental car, of course, because it's a piece of dirt. But I was like, I need to clip this real quick because that little moment just resonated with me.
So Bullish says that you do not need a public IP address. If that answers your question, we'll hopefully over this next week we'll get somebody on that knows.
I invited a friend on the stream to chit chat for a second. Why don't we? It's my boy Jay McCoy. He is a security expert.
Cool.
So I'm sure he knows shit about nodes too. If you want to go into that, let's throw up a quick bicep though. What up, John McCoy?
Hey,
how you doing?
Good.
I just invited you on because I was like, we had a little chat for a little while, but I don't think Sam was here when you came on, was he?
Nah, it's good to see you.
What's up, John? How you doing? Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
Hey, did you get a chance to listen to that live stream this morning?
Oh, from Richard?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
What is like first comes to mind when you think about like that in terms of takeaways?
When
I'm sorry for putting you on the spot too. I
no,
it's all good. I kind of just invited you in here, and
what comes to mind? Like, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you're like the Richard Hart stream? What stands out to you? It's the first memories that pop up. You're like, oh, this was interesting, or that was interesting.
Sure. And as a preface, I mean all of this positively. When I hear him talk about like infrastructure and AWS services and I hope he's doing build pipelines and all the best practices. And I'm just like I threw out a tweet of like, if you have $1 billion under management, you should have a security engineer. And it's like, for these concerns. And it's just like, I just know no one in crypto, it's very rare to actually see security engineers out there. And it's just like,
so tell us a little bit about what that means. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Same here.
Sure.
We're smart, but we don't know anything about that side of software.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's super niche. And like when I went to school, my job didn't even exist. Like this is this is all new. So like you have a company. You're Jim Rat Crypto, you employ 80 people, you have $40 million in throughput a month or a year, whatever, right? Like, and it crosses your mind like, oh, do we have our website locked down? Or did we give the intern too much permissions to access our shit? Or someone post some of your documents in a public S3 bucket and now everyone's reading your financials or whatever, like shit happens. And then you're knee jerk. People don't care about security until they get burnt. And then it's like, okay, we need to lock our shit down. You start locking your shit down. It gets hard. people aren't happy, and it's like, okay, we need an expert that can get us locked down but not fuck over our daily process, and you get a security expert. And I kind of liken security to cage fighting, where it's like you can use 30 different disciplines. You can do DevSecOps and focus on your infrastructure and deployment. You can do InfoSec, you can do AppSec, you can do, like, there's different disciplines, and they'll each get you like somewhere good. And yeah,
What's some of the issue? What that you brought up with the RA
Sure.
team, and maybe some concerns that you might have about anyone running a project? It sounds like it's a concern that you would have with any project, really. Like, you want to know that some of these security things are intact. What are some of the problems that can occur? And in a very dumbed down way, like, what are ways that you think you could prevent these things?
So I've been talking to some of my DAO friends, and or these bridges or whatever, kind of applying some of the core security principles of segmentation of responsibility. So if you have public facing contracts, then maybe you only have 10% of your money on the table in that public facing contract. You have an internal contract, and that has 90% of your money, and it's locked down to only your team, and you have a business process and maybe even time locking for pulling 90% of your money out and sending it. and just kind of coming up with like segmentation of responsibility, segmentation of risk. I like to play the game of what do you wish you had done? Like, if you were keys to your DAO, what do you wish you had done if? And maybe there's a fallback key that's only active after 1 year of no transactions from the primary key. So you lose your key, you're fucked, it's all locked. And a year from now, a secondary key kicks on and allows you to get in there and take care of it. Like, just like actually focusing on security and best practices and knowing what the attacks are and the mitigations. Yeah.
It's interesting that you
go ahead, Sam.
It's interesting how you put that together in terms of like an MMA type of like frame, right? Where you have different angles to take a look at it. Where is the biggest, like, a couple attack places where you see issues?
In crypto and Pulse and in what, or in software of the world, or
crypto space.
I mean, coming up this next year, I think the biggest thing we're going to see is currently, like, when someone attacks a DAO or a bridge, they go after the money. I think what we're going to see next cycle, bull cycle, it seems to happen at the top of the bull run for some reason, when the most money's on the table. I think what we're going to see is people getting into these platforms, OpenSea, Uniswap. Instead of stealing the money, they turn around and target the users with malicious contracts and signing. And they just steal everyone's money that used the contract for 30 days. And they get the money in the bridge or the platform. And when we really haven't seen platforms turning around and attacking the users, I think that'll happen.
Do you go ahead?
What things have you seen in the space? And Sam, if this is too much interjecting, have you seen things in the space that don't get talked about as far as security? Like, are there scams and hacks that go on? Do you think people just don't want to really admit are going on? Because in my opinion, the base user, everyone can say anything they want about my security. When I made my first account, I was in crypto for 3 days.
Yeah,
I had no security practices. So you all can S my B-hole, because it doesn't matter what you say. That is the experience of random people. I'm not a dumb dude by any means. I was focusing. I was paying attention a little bit, but I had no
security
experience. I had no computer experience, zero, none. I hadn't been on a computer in 6 years, and people want to tell me that my security computer before I can, because they don't say before you put in stakes, make sure you do everything right and have a separate computer, because you'll probably be down the line in 15 years. Like, who's going to steal all my shit because I effed up? Nobody says that. Nobody tells. When you put those stakes in, they are not moving. And I love Hex and I love staking, and I am continuing to stake on more secure accounts.
Oh, hell yeah.
But there are problems there. And I do want to speak about them because I am the base user, like literally.
When I first came in, no one onboarded me. I had no security. I didn't know what the shit I was doing. Yeah, like, yeah, we're getting better with onboarding people. um, your question of what no one's talking about. I see the least talked about thing that burns the most people. Basically, everyone seems to have lost their keys. Like you had them, you wrote it down wrong, you something wrong, your keys are gone, and your coin are locked up. And it's like that seems to hit basically everybody, and no one talks about it. It's embarrassing.
So can you talk about that? And because I had that question for a bit yesterday, not really from the security point of view, but like I know people are just careless about managing shit in general or organization and having intense discipline. So people in hex are going to continue to lose their wallets, which is going to continue to help the people who have stakes, but that proportion
it'll give us better interest.
Correct. That's what I was thinking about. But it's okay. Can you give us some thoughts on that? Like how is a better way, right? Because mine are written down on a piece of paper. If there's a flood, if there's a fire, my shit's fucked and they're gone, right? Like, and I know that there's other ways to do about it, but can you talk about it? Because you just said this is one of the issues. It fucks a lot of people, but also you don't see enough people talking about it.
Oh yeah. I'm a big fan of the putting it in metal. That's cool. For $100, you can get either the plate or the cylinder, and those are nice. People are stamping it, all that. And
I don't think you lose your keys once you're aware, though.
Oh yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like the awareness gap. It's like between that, that this is the next. People don't want to tell you like this address right here is the next 50 years of your entire life's wealth. And it's like,
right.
I did not know that. But once I knew that and I got hit hard and someone punched me in the gut, I was like, I'm scared now. Like I was in fight or flight mode. I wanted to take care of everything, but I was so careless.
Do you want to share your story with John? Because he might have some ideas. I know you don't.
In the green.
Okay.
Oh, sure. So I'm pro everyone doing something unique to them. Everyone should not do the same strategy for backing up your keys. So just throwing out some food for thought. Everyone basically knows about the Shamir sharding.
No. Don't assume that we do, because I don't, and probably a bunch of people don't. You do because you're like, this has been out for 4 years and it's like ancient history to you. But like,
Sam, how long is cryptocurrency as far as your
60 days roughly?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem.
Like I pay roughly 200, but his learning curve is exponential compared to mine. So he's more on the fine details of stuff, but like I have a little overarching theme about some stuff that I know, but generally I'm a noob.
Oh, nice. Okay. And I try to make security real and tangible and like, yeah. Okay, so if you want to split your key, let's say you just chopped it in half and you gave half to your parents and half to your brother. Okay, that's one way of doing it. You could also basically write it down in such a way that you could put half in your safety deposit box and have overlapping parts of your key where so you can make it 2 out of 3 recoverable. So you have 3 parts. Any 2 of them can recover the key.
Okay, so from a very like simple level, you got 12 words, right? And you split that into, you're not going to be splitting it into 4, 4, and 4, right? You're going to be splitting it into 6, 6, and 6 or something. So any 2 of them can put it together. Is that something accurate?
Yeah. And so like you kick the bucket, one of them could go to your safety deposit box and they could get the key. There's the 25th word. So like when you're using a ledger, that's a whole rabbit hole. Ask me about it some other time. But it's basically an extra password. And so at the beginning, you're more likely to lose your keys than someone to steal it at the very beginning, like say the first 30 days. And so when you set up a hardware wallet, I recommend you boot it up, you type through it, you write down your 24, and then you reboot it, start up clean, and type in your 24 manually. And because like you could have wrote something down wrong, and now
Oh, that is so simple. It's so golden. You're
Wait, say
right.
it one more time. Sir.
So you boot up your ledger.
Write down your 24 words, of course.
Yeah. And then instead of like going through their confirmation phase, you reboot it and you type it in fresh.
Like if you're gonna send somebody money or anybody to an address, you double check the address, right? Same exact idea. You just double check your shit.
Most people don't do that though, John, if I'm correct.
Oh yeah. And I mean, like if you're slightly dyslexic, wait a day or two and your brain will reboot. And if you had an error today, you probably will have a different error in 3 days. Type it in again. And it's like, no, it's still good. Okay, I'm good to go.
I'm using that. The next person I get to like come on board, I'm going to tell them to do exactly that. We're writing it down. Okay, delete the extension if you're doing it through MetaMask, or if you're using a ledger, like delete the shit, reset it as you're using the ledger is words I think you just said, and redo it again because that's so valuable. Plus, it's going to reinforce like where you put your shit. Because I wrote my shit down and then I was like, I literally was like, I wrote this down, and it was like 2 weeks ago. I couldn't even fucking remember where I put them. Like, so
right.
What do you say about the people that are just like, as long as you have a separate computer and normal seed phrases and you never do anything with that separate computer other than crypto, like it doesn't really matter as long as you don't lose your paper? You know what I mean? Like if you really are taking care of a piece of paper, like you can anyone I think at this point in their life could take care of a piece of paper, whether that was in some sort of box or something that was fireproof or whatever. Like at a minimum, like is just having a separate computer. Is having a separate computer obviously like baseline for you, or is that something that with the Trezor you think that a normal adult doesn't make a difference? But obviously, if you're looking at porn and shit, like that's no go. But like, you know what I mean? Like if you're not, again, it's so much nuance. It's very hard to.
Oh yeah. Baseline for me is a hardware wallet. I'd definitely be into debating the Ledger versus Trezor. I'm all about the Ledger.
So you said what's the difference between a ledger and a Trezor? Is it just two names of two different
companies that do the same thing, but they have different
ways of doing them? Okay.
Yeah, and the feature set and their design is different. And really, it's around the 25th word that was like, okay, this is why the Ledger is fundamentally better.
From a logistical standpoint, John, do you have that ledger and then you store that in a safe place, but then do you also have your keywords somewhere else too?
Oh yeah, like the Ledger is like your MetaMask. And ledgers die. Like 2, 3, 8 years of usage, your Ledger is absolutely dead.
What?
Like, yeah. And
what? No one mentioned that one.
And
this is why it's awesome. John's on here right now.
This is why I started the show, literally, because I could not decipher through the information anymore because most people don't know what they're fucking talking about, to be honest.
And that's why I'm donating time to the community and focusing, because it's like, oh, okay, I can help clean this up. I can help get on the front lines. And
I promise this will always be, if you have something to say about security and it's on the cutting edge or whatever, something that a presentation or even a PowerPoint of any sort that you want to come on here, even if it's something that you sell, I would like to know more, because when it comes to security, like this is not selling people on an idea here. This is like, you want to take care of your shit or do you want to get robbed? Because people are getting robbed.
Oh, yeah. And no, I never sell shit. Like no one's ever going to send me coin. Like this is my day job in security pays way too much.
Cool.
Like
you're a great guy. Thank you for donating your time. That's amazing.
Of course. I mean, the whole thing is like, if I can get security in a project before they could ever afford it, then I can add security to the world. And it's like, and so most of these projects shouldn't put money in crypto, in security. Like if you're two dudes in a basement and you're writing a new coin, it's like you don't have $100,000, $200,000 to throw at security. It's like, no, of course you don't.
But if you do,
so back to the ledger, the Ledger Trezor thing. So you've got the ledger that could fail over repeated use of time over time, right? But you have your seed phrase maybe on Metal or someplace else, and possibly sharding, which I don't know how you'd even set that up, but you could split that up. But from a just very simple standpoint, Now, do you use a separate computer that you only use for crypto? You take your ledger out and you do whatever you need to do to connect it with the separate computer to do the transactions that you want to take place, and then like get out of there? How do you like? What's a good practice, like rule of thumb thing for that?
Oh yeah. A second computer is definitely good. Some people that don't have second computers do virtual machines or technical stuff. A VPN, if you're like super anonymous and you don't want to get tracked for your geolocation, that's where a VPN. But unless you're doing a Tor browser and you really, really know technology and security, all the wrong people are going to know who you are anyways. They can fingerprint your browser. They can fingerprint something that you didn't think about. But if you're using a VPN and you're using a Tor browser and you're following the best OPSEC, it's like, okay, sure, maybe. but practically, you should assume that the wrong people already know who you are anyways. Like that, yeah, OPSEC is
I see GRC's face and John's going through this, and GRC's like, oh, so basically I'm fucked at this point.
I'm a great target. People love to target me in general. So like I always am paranoid. Not target me because of money, obviously, but more so because I've said things over the years too that people have not liked.
Oh, same here.
and then I get so worried, John, because it's like I am new and I'm self-admittedly new and I am putting my face out here for everything. So my primary goal is not enriching my life with crypto gains at this moment. You know what I mean? Yeah. But at the same time, it's like I'm a fun little target to ruin a kid's like. It's like I always seem to get wrecked because I do put myself out there a lot because my primary goal is way more important to me than like the actual money that I'm receiving. I don't have kids or anything, so I don't. Like I'm really need to be passion oriented or I can't focus at all.
Oh yeah. And for someone that is a frontline crypto media person, I would say even having a computer that you just do streaming and when like people send you links and you check out stuff, like having a computer just for streaming and your media side.
Someone saying the donation box in the thing. Right. Another computer that GRC needs to buy.
Yeah. John, question on that front. So like a little bit more broad. So sure. in regards to like the two different devices, one's for crypto, one's for all your other shit, right?
Yeah.
Would the same idea hold for like legacy? Like would you do your traditional banking on the crypto computer, or what are your thoughts on that? Or just the regular computer is perfectly fine because of all the ridiculous like safeguards, cumbersome processes in fiat. You're pretty safe because if your shit gets screwed up in fiat, like it's much easier to resolve than like there's safeguards in fiat that allow that to happen. Is that, or where are your thoughts on that?
Oh, sure. I mean, it depends on your scale. Like if you're a 9-to-5er and you have a 401k, then yeah, your computer's probably fine. You should use a password manager. You should use 2FA that goes against an app on your phone. You should use a segmented email just for banking and finance and a different email for social and a different email for personal. And you should slice out your emails.
If you're a little Swiss cheesy with the OPSEC. If Sam has any holes in his game, one of the ones is that he's posted 10,000 videos of himself over the last decade about everything that he's ever
not even slightly exaggerating. Not even slightly. There's probably more than 10,000.
More than 10,000. 10,000 is just like what we say because we don't really know at this point.
Yeah.
But so he's been documenting everything since the beginning of his journey into adulthood, basically, since he was a young man. And to restart in some ways is difficult when you are kind of like all in, like it's like
you're already so exposed to extent, like, so we're in different spots where you're like, okay, this is my background versus somebody who's like just, I mean, like there's so many pieces of like content where it couldn't take somebody who knows what they're doing more than, a very short period of time to figure out some type of detail that would probably not be super great for them to have. How does somebody approach that? And obviously you can't change it.
About behind the scenes too, like we could potentially if you think it's better to talk about these things behind the scenes, that might be it.
Oh no, I like to be open.
Okay, cool.
I mean, honestly, I think no matter how good you are at OPSEC, like unless you're literally an like it's back to the MMA. Like if you are literally the best in the world, sure, you're on it. And if you're in the bottom 10%, if you can't take on a professional, there's no way you're ever gonna like be good enough. And someone will breeze right through whatever you do. Like, anyways, and it's fine. It's like if you have defensive layers, OPSEC is like icing on the cake. Your defensive layers are your key backup, how you shard them. You have a 25th word, a password, basically. You have multiple wallets, you have multiple emails. Like that's the real meat and potatoes. And OPSEC is just bullshit. Like OPSEC is like smoke. It's like a smoke bomb.
And OBSEC,
It
what
might
so
help you.
OBSEC is what, an acronym for what?
Operational security.
And so that's going to be physical security kind of thing.
That's digital too. It's like you can look at, like, given anyone's name, you can look up their address and their phone number. Given a social security number, you can figure out the approximate place and time they were born. From a background photo, you can figure out what hotel room they're in. Like OPSEC is open source intelligence. OSINT is also a big part of it.
So what is it? What
yeah.
is it that, like, from if somebody is trying to have, or does have nefarious like game plan for their life, what targets are they generally looking for? Just like complete idiots that are willing to just, because like, right, if I'm going to steal money from John versus steal, and John's got a gun and he's like knows like, you know, MMA type of, you know, different styles of fighting, right? Versus somebody else who doesn't. Like, I'm going to steal from that person before I steal from John because I think it's a easier target. So what does that happen? How does that play out in the crypto space? Like, what are the things that they're looking for? Because if you know what people are looking for, then you can kind of obfuscate that stuff to a certain degree.
Oh,
right?
sure. Well, you remember that Hexagon that lost like $80 million and they just like flushed it all in emergency instinct and we all got interest?
Well, I've only been in for 2 months, so I did not know that whole story. So that's
okay.
interesting.
So this dude had just like ridiculous money, and someone got a hold of his seed phrase, and then emergency like everything in 15 years, and so he lost everything. And like it's back and forth, it's all third hand, but he basically was keeping his seed phrases in his desktop, which may have been synced to the cloud. And it's almost undoubtedly some insider, some high schooler friend of the family, or some grifter that targeted them and got in knee deep. And it's like if you have more than $1 billion, then that's back to the security. If you have more than $1 billion, you should just invest in security. And these people are like, YOLO, I'm going to keep my seed phrase on my desktop and phone and in the cloud and have it accessible. And it's like, if you have more than $1 billion and you're doing that, someone's coming for you. So, you know.
So the size of somebody's bag is tremendously important. So right from what you're saying, so splitting up your bag.
What was the question?
Splitting up your bag, but go ahead with your point too. Like moving your bag into multiple spots. So if you're like, oh hey, look at Sam, he's got $1 billion, versus look at Sam, there's one wallet that people know about that has, you know, this amount of money into it, but the peripheral stuff is just not envisioned.
Let's go over splitting your email real quick, and then it'll make more sense about splitting your bag.
Perfect.
So you have one email that's for Facebook and social and all this bullshit, and you're going to get certain types of emails on that address. You have another email that's your personal, and maybe you go to a club and you meet someone cool and you give out that personal. And you just use it for your 401k.
John, the last 3 or 4 seconds cut out. Sorry. So you said give out your thing to the person at the club, and then it cut out.
Oh, sure. And then you have another one for your banking, your 401k, your money, your Robinhood, your whatever, your money stuff. And so if you get an email on your money stuff that says, hey, we met at the club, it was great meeting you, I really dig your project, like, let's follow up. And it's to your banking email, you're like, no, I know I didn't give that out, right? On your personal email, if you get a email that says your bank account is overdrafted, we had a charge last night on PayPal from Bangladesh, you need to call us right now if this wasn't you, and it's on your personal, then you know that's not right. And so you can start sharding out your identity for certain purposes, kind of like how you have one computer for each, you have one email for each. And this allows you to limit your risk. So like if someone gets a hold of your personal email and wants to attack you and they take over your personal email, it's like, well, okay. I mean, good job. Now you can talk to my friends. Like you can't get into my bank account. You can't reset my social accounts. You can't do anything with it other than just talk to people. Like, good job. And so you can kind of segment your risk. You can limit what activity goes on there.
So
And,
I'm sorry to interrupt, John. I had a
no,
question
no,
on
go
the-
ahead.
So just very, very simply, sharding is just gonna be is just like shards of glass, like splitting shit up into multiple pieces. Is that how people are thinking about it?
More like buckets. Like say you have one bucket for carrying fresh water and you have one bucket for carrying human waste. and
Okay.
and you don't mix these buckets. And so
Like drinking water, toilet water. Yes.
yeah. And you have two buckets. And so you have one email bucket that's just for your social accounts, one that's just for your banking, one that's just for your personal, one that when asshole websites require an email, one that's just for garbage. And each one of these buckets gives you that station, and that limits your risk, that allows you to sort those buckets differently and deal with them differently. Yeah.
So on that, so I wrote down email, and I wrote down 4 things in terms of categories, and obviously, like everybody's life is going to be different on how they want to do that. But you've been doing this, you have tons of experience. What are like if somebody wants to keep it relevant, because you could also make it, I'm going to have 36 different fucking buckets, right? So
sure.
what is something if somebody's like, hey, I would like to group these in less than 5 buckets, because once you go past 5, it's mentally too complicated and it increases the risk from that standpoint that I forget something.
Yep.
So so you said personal, money, social / shopping is what I wrote down, and then a spam one. If like the gym needs, or like I don't know, like something needs something for whatever reason, it just goes into the spam one that you don't really check. Would that be a good cat, or like am I forgetting anything if I was like those are 4 email addresses?
And maybe your professional identity, like Gymrat has Gymrat, like just a Gymrat, or I back in the day I did freelance consulting. And so it's like I have one that's just for my freelance consulting, and just like your identity, your professional identity. But yeah, that's a great set.
Basically your most profitable business name.
Yeah,
like,
or something.
You know, like anything, or it could be a random ass name that you just, because again, the internet does forget. Like we forgot about the pandemic like fucking 3 weeks. So like don't forget anything at this point, right, Sam? I mean, like, and again, somebody in the comments said though, there is a bounty high enough, and John would probably agree with this. If somebody wants to attack you so bad and they have enough resources, they probably can, right?
Oh, sure. But it's like being a poisonous frog. If you're too small and you're challenging and you're like not worth it, there's a number where no one's going to spend $1 billion to attack you, because it's like, well, like, yeah.
Right. So yes, there's what if scenarios for everything, but again, there's
sure.
People steal things, they want value. So we really have to look at value when they're looking at stealing. How much of their time and resources is being used to steal? Is they want it to be profitable, clearly.
So what, like if there was like 3 kind of areas that people could take away that you think could provide the most, like the highest ROI, but in terms of the security standpoint, right? Is it email sharding? Is it what would be like those 3, the bigger targets that somebody could give that, like, I just want 3 things that John tells me over the next month, I'm going to get those 3 things worked to move in that direction.
Oh yeah, totally. Good question. Okay, so the email sharding was just an example of sharding your wallets, and that was the topic of. So you have one wallet just for trading, one wallet that's for your big stakes, one wallet that's for your fuck off NFTs, one wallet that's for your DeFi liquidity pool bullshit. And so if every time you're doing an activity, you should have an appropriate amount of that wallet is to that activity. Like you wouldn't put $1 million in your NFT fuck off wallet. You might put 3 ETH. You in your DeFi, you wouldn't put long-term giant ass stakes. You would put like maybe you have 10 ETH in your liquidity pooling, right? Like you, and if your balances get too high, like you strike it rich in your NFT wallet, you pull that money out. So you strike it rich in NFTs, you have 500 ETH. You pull that back into one of your backend layer wallets. So for wallets, I did some tweets on it, but off the top of my head, you have those activity wallets, and then you have like a kind of a warm wallet where you back your money off the table from the NFT game. It's like you go to the casino, or the club, you win a bunch of money, you pull it off the table and you put it in your warm wallet that you don't connect stuff to. And if you have really high value stuff, you pull it back to your cold storage vault that you never do anything to, but like go in there and you do like your high value stuff in your vault. And you might have multiple vaults, who knows? But sharding those, it's just like sharding your email, like different buckets for different activities, limit your risk, pull your money off the table if you're doing something risky. Like, and DeFi is risky. I mean, that's one of the reasons I like Hex. It's one of the least risky DeFis.
So sharding,
but DeFi is risky.
the sharding piece, like blocking, when you were just talking about the sharding with the wallets, it seems almost in the sense of like diversification from the traditional legacy world of doing things, right? Where it's like, oh, you should diversify. I don't believe in it personally, but like, diversify to reduce your risk pool. But you're taking that same idea, but calling it sharding. And obviously, I'm sure there's differences or whatever, but in my mind, because I always have a background in finance, is looking at it through that way. But instead of having all this one giant arrow pointing at me, let's split that up so it's multiple different ways. So if one arrow gets compromised in some way, then it's only this tiny little bit of damage that could, or hopefully a little bit of damage that could be caused from that.
And in this case, we probably want to call it like segmentation. And you segment your risk and you limit your risk by how much you have in that segment. Yeah. And
have you ever been burned? Have you ever been burned real bad? Well, not like by personal person, but like, have you ever been burned on your security? As far even when you were young, obviously. Like, I don't know how old you are in your youth.
Yeah. No, I've been burned.
As far as trading as well, I'm sure you have experience trading, because I tell people you will learn to tighten up from 2 different things. You'll either get hacked and you'll tighten up, or you'll trade and lose all your money and you'll tighten up, because you'll realize that you can't be loosey-goosey at all.
Oh, yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, that's how I feel.
I could tell you one of my burn stories.
Please.
So I was doing security contracting, and I had customers, clients. I was defending them, and I basically was like, no one will ever find out I worked for you. I retain your information for X number of days. I wipe it out. Perfect OPSEC for my customers, and I got everything locked down. And my bank one day told me, okay, you have a $50 charge for that mortgage request. And I go in and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And apparently someone anywhere can just say, oh, this person's interested in a mortgage. I'm doing a background check on this account. Please send me all of the activity for this account, which lists who, what, where, when money transfers are going on for my clients. And I'm like, okay, I did not do this. Like, and the bank reverses the charges. Oh, sorry, it happens again. I go back into the bank and I'm like, I'm not doing this. Can you make it stop? And the bank just says no. Like, that's not a system. We can't stop that. And it's just like, what the fuck? You mean you can't stop giving out all of my banking information? And it's like, apparently you just need someone's bank account number and you can open a mortgage request against them.
I'm sure back then, yeah.
I don't know if they ever fixed it.
Wow.
It's disgusting. Are you disgustingly neurotic about the government and all their banks and all their practices? Like, do you think
what's the question?
Like, are you under the impression that like we're getting robbed by these people basically at this point when it comes to the insurance systems, the banks, all the government kind of infrastructure?
I would say it's a casino where the casino wrote the rules. Like you're going to be allowed to come out ahead. Like, I mean,
Most people will lose, but like if you know what you're doing, there's ways to like
You have to
game the
dedicate
system, so to
yourself.
speak.
Yeah. That's why
I mean, I look. If you play within the bounds and constraints that the system sets up, then you're going to have a finite outcome that's determined by other people.
I've just been so disgusted because the car insurance industry has really made my life a living hell for 22 days or more, to the point where I'm paying $350 a month for insurance, and I got a dude hit my car in my parking lot while I was asleep. He was wasted. His license plate fell off of his vehicle onto the ground in front of my car. I picked it up. I called the police. I gave it to the police officer. I said, "Man, this man hit my car, and obviously you should go get him or whatever." And they were like, "Yep, insurance information, blah, blah, blah." 22 days later, they won't tell me if the car's totaled or they're going to fix it or not. They won't tell me. I'm like, tell me.
Yeah.
I had to hire a lawyer, a 100% lawyered up to get my own car insurance to pay for my stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. Insurance is a scam. The moment, I mean, maybe there's good insurance out there, but the moment you try to use it, you figure out how fucked it is and how
If you have enough money where you don't care, they just skim off the top of you. But if you don't, if you're in that zone where you're like, I need to know where my money's going, they will wait until you want to die before they give you your money, because it's just like you run out of patience.
But it's like dealing with somebody who needs something. It's easier to get a better price if you're like, oh, I need this money. I'll be like, okay, cool. Well, I'll give you 10 grand. But really, if you were able to wait or like go through the process, you get 24,000 or whatever.
My lawyer's getting me literally 8 grand more than I was getting,
which is fantastic. John, question from the comments. So she asks, ask about Robert Mitnick, please. Do you know what that is? Does that mean anything?
I think she means Kevin Mitnick.
Maybe.
Yeah.
She seems like a conspiracy situation wouldn't be far from her realm.
I don't know if you can see the name, but it says
who is Robert Mitnick? I don't know who that is.
Okay, we're gonna run with Kevin Mitnick because that's a security. That's one of the OG security people from back in the day. He like walked into phone companies and got their like back end books and just owned the phone network, owned the cell network. He was an early OG social engineer, hacker. He's a nice guy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He
went into like just like kind of like if you pretend like you know what you're doing, you walk into a hotel or resort. Like if you just walk in, they're not going to say much to you. But if you look like you need help, they're going to approach you, kind of thing, and just got a lot of data that he wasn't supposed to get, and then use that to his advantage.
I do that all the time. Like I walk into like restaurants and stuff where there's lines. I just pretend like I was already there or something. Like something. No, you know what I mean? You can kind of just assume, but go on.
Oh yeah. And then he turned around and used it really well. Supposedly, he got into the cell network, and then he could see when the FBI agent's cell phones were coming to the tower near him, and he could just like bolt. And so he started like using that system to defend himself.
That dude is legit, dude. Hey, Kevin Mitnick is he's, I used to work on cell phone towers, so I actually have like a little bit of a
nice.
I built cell phone towers, so I wasn't, but like I had to hook up everything myself and do the whole antennas and learn about the fiber and do the construction and all that stuff. And I learned a lot about the cell phone towers that you really would never even assume. Like it's a pretty crazy industry.
Oh yeah.
We were chucking $40,000 antennas off of sites every day that were like a year old, just throwing them and replacing them, because there's just like, you know what I mean? There was just always chucking. Like when you get the equipment a year before, it's a $40,000 piece of beautiful equipment. You mount it, the next year you're chucking that thing off of the thing.
Oh, nice. I know a bunch of people that would love good antennas.
Well, yeah, they just chuck them. I mean, and then people shoot them too.
Oh, nice. That's a good note for all the hackers looking for good antennas.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's get back to the security thing. So the
The
number
top
one
three
thing is segmenting your wallets and or
and your risk.
email.
Yeah.
And okay. When you say risk,
And
you're defining that as in when you say risk, you're talking about like the email piece of it, or
it's back to the MMA fighting. It's like once you understand this one leverage or this one concept, you can apply it multiple times. So the same reason you segment your computers is the same reason you segment your emails, is the same reason you segment your wallets.
gotcha.
You're segmenting activities, and those activities carry a risk, and then you have a certain amount of value on the table in that activity, and you can keep that appropriate.
Okay. What would be number two of the most important
Hardware
thing that
wallet.
a new what
Like
was it?
a hardware wallet. Like
And
get a ledger, move to the 24 word seed words, come and try to figure out the 25th word and build a strategy on that, and get one or I recommend 2 or 3 hardware wallets, get them set up, get multiple pin codes set up against the multiple 25th words, and build a deniable strategy where, like, if someone put a gun against your head, you could unlock the wallet and give them something. Come up with a strategy for that.
I do
And
keep some on my phone just in case someone does stick me up.
so
yeah.
John, there's people who
Just a little.
will watch this who have $1,000, $500, $5,000, and at some point, it's probably more. And I don't. This is just my point of view because I'm in a different place from the security standpoint, right? I'm like, okay, well, this person should probably at least have that in their mind, but you should probably just get a bigger bag, right? At the same point, like, at what point does how do you view that? Right? Because if somebody's
that's a good point.
The bag size matters because it's kind of like
It does.
like, you know what I mean? Where you fall in that
I
spectrum.
do 2 stakes per wallet personally. Once I do 2 stakes and I have some liquid in there, I just move on to the next wallet because I know that I have holes in my game, so I'd rather have a few extra wallets.
And on the hardware wallet, you can make multiple sub wallets, Ethereum sub wallets. And your point about some people can't necessarily afford a wallet. If their strategy is to stake it, then you jump in there with $50, $500, you stake it, and then you can try to, you write it down, you make sure you can recover it, go through that whole thing we talked about, like create your seed, set it back up, make sure you got it good. And then once you're really confident in your seed is physically backed up, make multiple backups. Like, you're more likely to lose it than someone actually stealing it. And then you can try to wipe it off the computer. You can add a really long password on your MetaMask that's not recoverable, like write down a 30-character password on a piece of paper, set up your MetaMask so it's against a really hard password, and then MetaMask, delete the browser, clear your cache. If you're
cut out again. So you said 30-character and then it cut out for a second. 30-character password, really, really strong in your MetaMask, and then it cut out.
Oh, sure. And then try to wipe it off the computer, like go through and try to delete the browser extension. Try to clean. It lives in a cache on your hard drive, and it's forensically, if like the police got a hold of your computer, it's still there. But you can try to wipe it off the computer.
You say tried, and you didn't say wipe it. So
yeah, if you have $50, you're not going to full format your computer and set it up from scratch.
I really am struggling because every day that goes by, I learn another security thing that I would like to have enough money to just die. Like, I'd love to have another computer. I really would, but it's just like, at what point am I going to stop buying shit? Because I have other shit I need. I have streaming stuff I want to buy, and it's like, but I'm also at a really different stage in my life. Like, I'm 28. I have so many work years ahead of me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really like, people can say whatever they want. I don't really give a fuck about money because I don't have kids or anything. I don't really need that much money personally, but I'm creating a business right now, and that's what I want to do in the future. And I have a lot of work in me. So I'm like working on this as I go. I just feel like at the long run, I'm going to be successful if I just learn all this shit as I go.
and security that slows you down or harms you is real. Like there's security practices that don't give you a good ROI or cause you problems, and it's like, yeah, and or whether you're technically to implement them, and the fact that you're focusing or thinking about it at all puts you drastically farther ahead than most people. And so it's back to the MMA thing. Like you don't need to be a world-class fighter. You just need to be able to take someone on the street. Like it's fine. Like being happy and feeling strength and security in what you're doing. And it's like, yeah, be rooted and solid. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because people always were like, "Oh, Scott, you lost some money and it didn't like ruin your life." And I was really like, it was just sitting in a wallet. I was literally just doing my shit anyway. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, go in the corner and be like, "No, it's over." Like, it's not over. Like, that's not, my life has no weight as far, like, I have so many things that I do and like none of them are tied to my bank account. I just I don't think about things in those terms as much as I think some people do, but I still obviously do a little bit.
And like you said, most of your value is in the future. Like you're still, you're rocking it. You have a good path.
Yes. Did you have a third thing that you wanted to add? Or so we've got sharding, hardware wallet. If you think of a third one, or you don't need to, if you're like, hey, those two are the biggest pieces.
I mean, those are the top two. Like the third is really contextual to your situation. Cool. It could be how you back up your seed. If you have parents, you store it with your parents. You could give, it could be seed storage. It could be your technical layout. Like the third one is kind of just specific. Everyone should be like, segmenting their infrastructure, their risk, and set up a hardware wallet. Like those are the two shoulds. There's some best practices, but no, that's it.
Cool. John, I want to say thank you and acknowledge you for taking the time, donating your time to come on and share this information. Just got a comment that this is the best episode ever. I think a lot of the stuff is super practical, that people can take that framework of sharding and apply it not just to their crypto wallet, but as you mentioned, to whatever bucket of risk you want to take, and you can apply that to segment that. And however, I think that's such a valuable way of looking at it. I know for me it's been valuable, so I want to thank you for that. I have to run. If anybody wants to check out any of the shit out there, you can check out the YouTube channel or links down below. GRC, I'm sure we'll talk soon. And John, hopefully you can come back on at some point and share more in depth and go like maybe much, much broader on this topic, because I think this would be super fascinating for me and also very valuable.
Yeah, I'd like to do an episode during the week where I really hype it up. We get a lot of people going in, because this weekend I was kind of just trying to chill. Like I had a really big push there, but yes, I want to thank you very much for coming on. I'm actually going to get off too. I'm going to do the outro right now. John, thank you so much as always. Sam Stolt, you're the man. Hex in the morning, guys. Let's do cool Hex transition, and we will talk to you later.
Thank you, John.
Later.
Thank you, John.